we're talking about tropes, and I'm sorry. Is that not a trope? A writer who has a cat walking on their keyboard. That's like an ultimate trope, right?
Is it really?
Should we just say, hello, welcome everyone to the middle of our conversation where we're like, hey, let's all look at Brooke's cat. Welcome to First Novel Problems, everyone. I'm Abby Matthews. I am your guide with Brooke.
I am Brooke Tannehill. I am the aspiring writer, but I also have kittens all over me at the moment. Like she's climbing my leg. And I want to leave this in the video. It's because she's literally climbing my leg.
Okay, let's get down to the nitty gritty today because we promised everyone last week we would be talking about tropes this week. And tropes are kind of a dirty word sometimes, but they really shouldn't be. I mean, am I boring you already? You're yawning.
I'm just like, I was nervous about this. So I know you were giving me crap when I was asking questions about this. Like, it was the last week and the week before. But what is a trope?
It's just a commonly recurring literary device. All right. So some of the tropes that you may see, and they're specific to each genre, right? So for romance readers love their tropes. They will live and die by their tropes. And I am going to have to admit, I have a favorite romance trope, and that is fake dating. I love fake dating books.
I
So
was really
that,
scared of what you were going to say with romance.
what did you think I was going to say?
It's not appropriate, Abby.
Okay. You tell me later. But no, I love fake dating books. That's my favorite romantic trope. You have other tropes like the new girl trope would be one in like YA rom-coms in particular, where the new girl moves into town. She's got to find her way in a new school group and a new school, set of friends. And she ends up falling in love with, the star quarterback or whatever, right? So tropes are just something that you see that recur over and over again in a genre. Dragons in fantasy, right? That would be a trope. A wise old mentor in fantasy, that is a trope. So you see that character pop up time and time and time again. All right. Like Gandalf and Yoda and, but for women's fiction has its own tropes. And I thought what we could do today is I have a whole list of them written in my notes app right here on the computer. I want to go down through this list of tropes. And I just want you to give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if the story that you have in your head, you think this might fit. And then write down the ones you think might fit, because this is going to sort of just give us an idea. Again, does our story fit in this genre? Are we in the correct lane on the super writing highway? Okay, so here's my first set of tropes for you. These are all life event catalysts, all right? And I have a feeling yours fits at least one of these. It probably will only fit one, but
okay.
An unexpected inheritance.
I wish.
Okay, that's a no. A diagnosis, hers or someone she loves.
Not for this story.
Okay, so we'll put that one on pause. A death that surfaces a secret.
No.
Okay. The betrayal discovery, like an affair, a financial, or an identity discovery.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so write that one down. The betrayal discovery. Okay. The empty nest. So like, who am I now? What am I reckoning with? That sort of thing. No. Okay. The divorce, often midlife.
Not hers, but yes.
Okay. So a divorce. So you can put a divorce down there. In a pregnancy that wasn't planned?
Maybe not for this story.
Okay. So see, you've got enough ideas in your head for all of you out there listening who are you're like, I am afraid I only have one book in me. Brooke, we are here to let everyone know, no, you probably have more than one book. I'm going to say probably. It's really definitely, but you have more than one book in you. Okay. So those were the life events catalyst. Here's some settings tropes. So let's go through these settings. Returning to a hometown she swore she would never go back to. I feel like that's really overdone. No. Okay, so that's a trope that you feel like is overdone. Does it fit your story, though? Okay, so cross that one off your list. We don't have to worry about figuring out how to subvert it, which is something that we can do. We can figure out how to subvert a trope, and it still works. Okay, so, all right, cross that one off. An inherited beach house, lake house, lighthouse, vineyard, bakery, bookstore. No. Okay. Small town with too much memory.
That's a tough one.
Okay.
Potential.
Write that down then. Sit with it for a minute.
Okay.
All right. The next one, the summer that changed everything.
No, but I do have a story about that book.
Okay, so that's another put a pause on that one.
Mhm.
The European escape. Italy, Paris, Greek islands for reinvention of yourself.
I'm not that wealthy. No.
Okay, cross that one off. The family compound where everyone gathers and then detonates.
That would be an amazing book that I could write with my family, but not for this one. No.
Okay. Okay. So you have one in there, small town with too much memory that you're like, might be it. Okay. Next, this is probably a rich trope grouping for you. Family and relationship tropes.
Oh, this is where they all are. Okay, let's do this.
Okay. Estranged sisters forced together, like by a death, a wedding, an inheritance.
No, not for this one.
Okay. The complicated mother.
Yes.
Okay. Put that down. Complicated mother is a trope. The mother-daughter reckoning across generations.
No.
No. Okay. Cross that one off. Found family, especially an older woman mentoring a younger woman.
This story is actually the opposite of this. So no.
Okay. So the opposite. Oh, write that down. Opposite of found family. Interesting.
Yeah, I know this. So the story, because you and I talked about this story I have is a little bit, it's different. It's not normal. So, like
Which
what? Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say that if what you have in your mind, you say it's not normal, but it still falls under one of these tropes, you might have an opportunity here to subvert one of these tropes.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be awesome because we could show, not just tell the readers or the listeners rather here how to do that. So that's amazing. All right. So the friend group at a turning point, like the 40th birthday and there's a reunion and someone is sick.
No.
Okay. The absent father whose absence shaped everything.
There's a component of that to this.
Okay. Do you want to write that one down, even if it's partial? So the absent father whose absence shaped everything. And the last one is the half sibling she didn't know existed.
No.
Okay. All right. So we got a couple more groups to sort of look at here. And this next one is, it's kind of a set of structural tropes. And we kind of talked about this a little bit, a dual timeline where a woman in the present uncovers a woman in the past. So usually a grandmother, a great grandmother, and sees them for who they are.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So dual timeline, a woman in the present uncovers a woman in the past. All right. So kind of related to that, discovered letters, journals, photographs that cracks the family open.
Not family, but person.
Okay. Write that down. So discovered letters, or you can just shorthand it for whatever your discovery is. All right. So a multi-generational saga across 3 or 4 women.
No.
Okay.
That
Um,
I have that story though, but no, not for this.
that's another press pause on that one. Multiple POVs from sisters or friends converging on one event.
No.
Okay. The framing funeral or wedding where everyone shows up. I guess that's the event. There's some event that brings everyone together.
No.
Okay. All right. So let's move on to some of the romance adjacent tropes. And I know you have a romantic subplot. So let's look at this. Second chance love with the one she left behind. Or a twist on that.
Yes.
Okay. So kind of write that down. Second chance love with the one she left behind, but then put like twist in parentheses. All right. The widow learning to love again.
No.
Okay. The unavailable man she has to give up to choose herself.
That's where I said the twist.
Okay. So put that down. The unavailable man she has to give up to choose herself. So those work together, your twist. And the friendship that almost becomes more. Probably not if she's given him up.
So that actually is the best way to. That's why this one was so complicated. This romance thing, because
Okay.
that's really what it is.
Okay. So then cross those two out. The friendship that almost becomes more and the question of whether it should.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Okay. So cross the other ones out so we don't muddy the waters. We're going to skip the secret tropes because is there a secret that you're hiding or uncovering at any point? Okay. So we're going to skip that whole section of tropes. But for the listeners, just know that there is a bunch of tropes in women's fiction that have to do with secrets. So career and identity tropes. And I feel like yours might have a little of one of these in it. Okay. So
Mhm.
corporate woman who walks away to bake, farm, paint, write, follow a passion.
No.
Okay. The artist who gave up her gift for someone else.
No.
Okay. The caretaker who finally puts herself first.
Yes.
Okay. And the woman who finds her voice. Literally, often she writes the book, sings the song, gives the speech.
That's the biggest thing about this whole thing is finding her
Your
voice.
voice. Okay.
Yeah.
So, see, the fact that we're hitting enough of these as we go through, already I can see where your story is starting to take shape. And think about it. I mean, if I give you a list of 30 or 40 tropes, think of how many different ways you could combine those to come up with completely different stories. So when
Yeah.
people are like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to write a trope because it's been written before, not necessarily. You are going to put your own experience and your own creativity and your own spin on this particular trope, and you're going to make it something that's totally your own. So, all right, the very last bit, and I feel like yours is not necessarily going to fit this, but it's the ensemble tropes. So, like the book club, the quilting circle, the supper club, the widows group, none of those, right? The found community of women across generations, we kind of tapped
No,
in.
I'm like full left for that.
The shared house. So, sisters, friends, strangers, all thrown together in the same house. Okay. All right. So, do me a favor, go back and read me your list. Let's look at it because I think that's going to give us a picture of what your story is, which is going to help us then move into the structure of your story, which we're going to talk about next week.
Okay, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
So the first one is identity slash betrayal with a sprinkling of a divorce in there, but
Okay.
not hers. Not hers. Studying small town with too much memory.
Okay.
Family, complicated mother. The opposite of found family mentor. So like the subvert, this is what I could have wrote. And then also with that absent father who absence shapes everything. So also opposite of that. Um, structural tropes, dual timeline, present, the present woman uncovers a past one. Um, discovered letters, photographs, different things like that. Um, with romance, friendship that potentially should become more. And then finally, for like the career part of it is like the caretaker and then finding herself in a or finding her voice slash becoming herself.
Perfect. So already we can kind of see your stories start to take shape. Yes, we were picking from a list of tropes, but you're not necessarily going to be using them as is written here. You're going to just use that as the basis to now sort of build your own story. And you will do that either by leaning into a trope, right? Or by subverting it. And so that gives us a little fodder to lead us into next week when we talk about how to start a story. You're a planner, right? I mean, we've kind of determined this. I struggled to learn how to outline for so many years. It was a skill that I had to learn. You are going to be naturally good at it. I have a feeling. And so,
And it helps my little ADHD mind to get everything ironed out, and then I just have to fill in the pieces. It's just how I work. So,
well,
but a quick, oh, go ahead.
no, go
No.
ahead.
So with the tropes,
Mhm.
how many? I know we're getting into the planning, so it's kind of like this good segue. How many should a story have, or how a book have?
There's no rule. I have never once read a rule that says you have to have any at all. I mean, truthfully, you're probably going to write one without realizing that you are writing one. So
Okay.
not everybody needs to go into this being like, I'm going to write X trope. So this is just helping me teach you story, which is
Hmm.
why I'm pulling it in now. But I just outlined a YA rom-com. And after I finished outlining it, I actually pulled up a bunch of romance tropes to see what I had hit. And I had hit 3 or 4 of them without even realizing I was hitting 3 or 4 of them. So inevitably, when you write, you are naturally, if you read those types of stories, if you're writing in your right genre, you're going to gravitate towards these because, again, they are commonly occurring literary devices for a reason.
Hmm.
People have been writing stories for, you know, as long as we've been able to write, and they were telling stories before then. They were, etching them on the walls of the caves. And so storytelling is just inherent to us. And we've just identified essentially these common threads that connect us as, storytellers. And these are the threads that apply to you and the story that you want to write. And so there's nothing basic about it. There's nothing that should feel like trite. And there's nothing that should feel like it's cheating either if you start with a list. So this is just kind of helping us wrap our minds around things. And it's going to help you market your book later. So,
Okay.
not everybody, when you start off talking about planning a book and writing your first one, you're not thinking about marketing just yet. But if you have a list of tropes that occur in your story, that is going to help you find other stories similar to yours. That if a reader likes that book, chances are good they're going to like yours. And buying books is not oh, I bought one book this month. I'm not going to buy another book for a year.
Oh no, you leave with like a stack.
It's not a zero sum game. And
Right.
so this is going to help you in the end. So for what it's worth, I think we found a couple tropes that may show up in your work.
Yes, definitely for sure.
So join us next time on First Novel Problems. Bye.
Nice.